Hello MotoGP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Gigi Dall'Igna offered a sobering reflection on the Catalan Grand Prix, a weekend defined not by lap times or podium battles but by two frightening crashes and the resilience of the paddock in their aftermath. His words carried both relief and gravity, reminding everyone that MotoGP's spectacle is inseparable from its risks, and that safety and human welfare must always eclipse sporting outcomes. Pecco Bagnaia finished on the podium in Barcelona but reported lingering neck and left wrist discomfort after his Turn 1 involvement in the Zarco incident. Ducati will run further checks in Italy. Bagnaia plans physiotherapy and cautious training ahead of Mugello as the team monitors whether the wrist needs more detailed investigation. Johan Zarco visited knee specialist Dr. Bertrand Sonnery-Cotet in Lyon and will postpone ligament surgery for a few weeks to allow initial trauma and swelling to settle. The LCR Honda rider suffered cruciate and meniscal damage plus a small fibula fracture in the Turn 1 crash at the Catalan GP. The delay means he will miss the upcoming Mugello round while his team finalizes a surgical and rehabilitation plan. Carlos Ezpeleta defended race directions handling of the Catalan Grand Prix, insisting that the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya remains safe and that restarting the race after two serious accidents was the correct call under the circumstances. He emphasized that both Alex Marquez and Johan Zarco were out of immediate danger, and that the protocols applied were consistent with MotoGP's established rules. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Dall'Igna began his analysis by acknowledging the severity of the accidents involving Alex Marquez and Johan Zarco, stressing that the consequences could have been far worse. He described the day as one that shakes certainties and forces the sport to confront its inherent dangers. It could have been much worse. His words set the tone for a weekend where survival and recovery mattered more than points or trophies, underscoring the fragility of competition when lives are at stake. He highlighted the rapid intervention of medical staff, whose swift and coordinated response prevented the crashes from escalating into tragedies. Dall'Igna noted how such moments reorder priorities, uniting rival teams into a single community bound by respect and shared vulnerability. Despite the chaos, the race produced a podium reshaped by penalties and restarts. Dall'Igna congratulated Fabio Di Giannantonio and VR46 for their composure, calling his victory a sign of maturity and consistency. He praised Fermin Aldeguer's courageous ride, which symbolized Gresini's resilience after Marquez's accident, and acknowledged Pecco Bagnaia's unexpected third place as a morale boost. The final classification was less about outright speed and more about adaptability. Riders who managed the psychological strain of repeated restarts and tire changes emerged strongest. Dall'Igna lamented that the weekend had been primed for Alex Marquez to shine. His sprint victory and strong pace suggested a breakthrough, but the crash robbed him of the chance to convert form into a full Grand Prix triumph. Dall'Igna expressed eagerness to see him recover, framing his absence as both a personal and sporting loss. Injuries not only sideline riders but deprived teams of crucial race data and momentum, making recovery timelines pivotal for both athlete and squad. Beyond results, Dall'Igna urged the paddock to reflect on the risks riders accept each time they race. He extended heartfelt wishes to both Marquez and Zarco, emphasizing that their courage embodies the essence of MotoGP. He suggested that such weekends should catalyze renewed focus on safety protocols, restart procedures, and rider representation in decision-making. High-profile incidents often accelerate reforms, reminding organizers and teams that the balance between spectacle and safety must be constantly recalibrated. Dall'Igna's remarks closed a dramatic Catalunya weekend with gratitude and perspective. While Di Giannantonio's victory and Bagnaia's podium will enter the record books, the true legacy of the event lies in the resilience of riders, the unity of the paddock, and the urgent reminder of MotoGP's dangers. As the championship moves forward, recovery for Marquez and Zarco and constructive safety discussions will take precedence, ensuring that the sport continues to evolve without losing sight of its human core. Bagnaia was involved in the multi-bike Turn 1 crash that also injured Johann Zarco. He completed the race on a spare bike and later reported dizziness from a neck impact and a new niggle in his left wrist that emerged during Monday's test. "I have a feeling something's not quite right with my wrist." Neck and wrist complaints after impacts are common. Both can affect braking confidence and control if not managed. Bagnaia completed roughly 20 laps in the shortened Catalunya test and finished 10th on the timesheets while keeping mileage light. He signaled a conservative approach to avoid aggravating any soft tissue issues ahead of further checks. Limited tests running after a heavy weekend is a deliberate choice to prioritize recovery and avoid compounding minor injuries. Ducati will perform wrist examinations once Bagnaia returns to Italy to determine whether scans or specialist input are required. In the meantime, he will increase physiotherapy and scale back intense training that could worsen symptoms. Early imaging helps rule out fractures or ligament damage. Many wrist complaints resolve with rest and targeted rehab, but persistent pain can require further investigation. With Mugello 2 weeks away, Bagnaia and Ducati must balance the desire to be fully fit at a home round with the need for cautious management. If the wrist is only a minor issue, he should be able to race. If scans reveal structural damage, recovery timelines could affect his availability and the team's setup work. Mugello's heavy braking zones place extra demand on wrists and shoulders, so conservative management now reduces the risk of a compromised performance or aggravated injury. Bagnaia's wrist concern arrives amid a period of physical strain for Ducati, with Marc Marquez recently recovering from surgery. Ducati will prioritize medical clarity and rider welfare while continuing development work on the GP26. Bagnaia emphasized physiotherapy and measured training rather than pushing through pain. Transparent medical updates and conservative rehab are standard when multiple riders are managing post-crash issues across a season. Ducati's next steps are clear: complete wrist checks in Italy, follow specialist advice, and tailor Bagnaia's training to avoid aggravation. If scans are clean, targeted physio and reduced load should have him ready for Mugello. If structural damage is found, the team will set a recovery plan that protects both the rider's health and Ducati's competitive program. After initial scans in Barcelona, Zarco traveled to France for a detailed assessment with a leading knee surgeon. The specialist confirmed damage to the anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments and the medial meniscus, alongside a small fracture of the fibula near the ankle. The surgeon recommended waiting a couple of weeks before operating to let the knee's acute inflammation subside. Immediate surgery can be complicated by severe swelling and soft tissue trauma. By allowing the knee to calm down, surgeons can better assess the exact structures that need repair and plan the most effective procedure. Zarco's medical team will use the interim period for further imaging and to prepare a tailored post-op rehabilitation program. With surgery scheduled only after the short waiting period, Zarco is expected to miss the next race at Mugello. The delay rules him out of immediate competition, while the team arranges the operation and subsequent rehab timeline. LCR Honda will consider replacement options for the round and adjust development plans that rely on Zarco's feedback. Once surgery is performed, the medical team will set a detailed recovery plan covering immobilization, progressive physiotherapy, and functional milestones before any return to riding. Exact timelines depend on the extent of ligament reconstruction and meniscal repair, but full competitive return typically spans several months for combined cruciate and meniscal surgery. LCR Honda confirmed Zarco's specialist visit and the decision to delay surgery, emphasizing that the plan balances optimal surgical conditions with the rider's long-term welfare. The team will publish updates after the operation and as the recovery program is defined. Meanwhile, Zarco will continue conservative care and further imaging as advised. Clear, regular medical updates help manage expectations for fans and stakeholders while protecting the rider's privacy and recovery process. Zarco's decision to wait before surgery is a medically prudent step that prioritizes a controlled, evidence-based repair and rehabilitation. It removes him from the immediate race calendar but increases the likelihood of a more reliable long-term recovery. The paddock will watch for the surgery date and the post-op timeline. LCR Honda must now balance short-term competitive needs with ensuring Zarco's full recovery. Ezpeleta opened his remarks by expressing relief that both riders were stable after their frightening crashes. He argued that once medical teams confirmed they were conscious and out of life-threatening danger, the decision to restart was in line with standard practice. Both drivers were out of danger, so normally a race would be restarted in those conditions. His framing highlights the balance between respecting rider welfare and maintaining the continuity of the championship. Ezpeleta described the collision between Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta as an isolated mechanical failure rather than a systemic track issue. He stressed that straights across the calendar share similar characteristics, and that KTM, together with organizers, is investigating Acosta's bike to determine the cause of the sudden slowdown. Ezpeleta defended race direction and the FIM, noting that their decisions adhered to established procedures. He acknowledged the emotional impact of seeing riders injured but insisted that officials acted correctly within the framework of the rules, prioritizing safety above all else. While standing by the choices made, Ezpeleta signaled openness to review. He said organizers will consult with teams and riders to identify possible improvements, particularly around restart procedures and communication with the Safety Commission. Ezpeleta's comments combined reassurance with pragmatism. He reminded the paddock that racing inherently carries risks, but insisted that MotoGP's safety structures functioned as intended. He urged patience while technical investigations and procedural reviews unfold, reiterating that rider welfare remains the sport's top priority. Officials often stress both medical outcomes and procedural integrity after high-profile incidents to restore confidence among riders, teams, and fans. Ezpeleta's defense closes the immediate debate over Barcelona's race control decisions but does not end the conversation. Expect follow-up meetings between race direction, teams, and the Safety Commission, alongside KTM's technical investigation into Acosta's bike. The outcome may lead to refinements in restart protocols, clearer communication channels, and stronger rider representation in safety discussions, all aimed at balancing the spectacle of MotoGP with the uncompromising priority of rider protection. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!